We're here.
Hello again.
Hello again. Good
Again,
morning. I apologize for the technical difficulties. They happen, unfortunately. So,
You
all
should talk
is
to Sean.
well.
He's actually really good at tech, so maybe he can
Oh,
help you.
no.
okay. Okay.
And
Sounds
and
good. Well,
Brandon is very sarcastic.
okay, I got you.
And
Okay, so that
I'm
was that was a joke.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
yeah,
it's lovely to have you both. I'm really excited. I was reading your bio, Sean,
yeah.
and I just creeped you on LinkedIn as well. So super cool. And of course, Brendan and I already had a chance to chat. So equally as impressive, by the way. And I'm really, really excited just because I think your platform has so much validity and so much use in terms of small businesses, entrepreneurs, startups, anybody and everybody who is in business. And even for myself, selfishly, I'm super curious to hear a little bit more about your business and things like that. I'm not sure if Brandon has shared this with you. My company, which is of course the HR Pro, we focus on helping small businesses in their growth cycles with regards to their policies and procedures and just anything and everything that builds a really strong foundation of how we move forward as a business and how we move forward in a way that's consistent and uniform amongst all of the employees, all of the contractors, that everybody is aware of sort of the values, the vision, the mission statement of the business, and everybody is aligned and pulling in the same direction when it comes to supporting the business owner and sort of in a circular way supporting themselves in terms of their business growth and their opportunities and things like that. So I
Are
am
there
that
natural breakpoints that you see? Sorry, I don't let me disrupt your show.
natural breakpoints.
Where they get to a certain place and then they need another level. Are there patterns that you see for when businesses hit those plateaus and need you?
For sure. I think the biggest point that I've seen, and this is including my business as well, which is very interesting when you look and you're trying to support other entrepreneurs and then you see the same pitfalls and same mistakes that you're making yourself. And how hard is it to actually overcome them? Because this is your brainchild, this is your baby, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I think what I've seen a lot of is that entrepreneurs when they first start out, it's usually just them, or maybe it's a small family business and then they sort of organically add employees to their business, and everything is going smoothly. There's usually no big issues just because everybody's sort of super connected and it's very, very small and very organic. And then they hit a plateau of, we know the next step rationally is an expansion of the business, but we don't know how to actually do that because we've never had to implement any formal processes or formal structure or an org chart or, a reporting structure, things like that. We never really had to put titles to the positions. We never had to write a job description because it naturally evolved throughout, the last couple of years. And so now we're at this precipice of what do we do next and how do we do it? And that is where everybody sort of skittishly looks around and says, well, so and so has been managing to scale their business. So maybe I should just follow them and see what they're doing. But their business could be different. Their values and vision could be different. It's sort of, the way that everybody explains it, it's sort of like investment, right?
Yeah.
Everybody invests for different reasons and for different purposes. You could be a short-term investor and you want to get out, make a little bit of money and get out, or maybe you're a long-term investor, right? Same idea with your business. You could be building a business to sell it in 5 years. So that's a completely different foundational piece than if you're hoping to keep it long term, maybe pass it down to your kids one day and things like that. So this is where I find in my experience, it's the most common sort of a roadblock or a brick wall, where everybody stops and goes, I don't really know how to do the next thing because I now need to step into a very much of a leadership role and I need to manage my business and I need to step out of it in order to see myself, to see this business 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And I don't even know how to articulate that because I haven't thought that far ahead.
Kate, you sound brilliant.
Well, I'm just reiterating the problems that we're seeing here.
Oh, it's right there. Just articulating what's right in front of us. Well done. Well articulated.
Thank you. Thank
And not
you.
everyone sees what's right in front of them. So well done. Bravo.
Absolutely. So tell me, what do you see? And most importantly, how do you help people get through the brick wall and come out on the other side?
So we see those same things. And so the problem, as you articulated, let me restate it so we're on the same page, is that there are natural growth, there's a natural evolution of things, and not so much a plan for the things, right? You could say, not to get biblical in this time of year, but one could say, well, there is a plan in nature, you just don't know what it is. There's a natural thing that's happening. You can't let your business naturally involve. There must be an architect of the plan, the grand design for what's happening. And so, yes, people hit those roadblocks when they now need to transform, become something new, take a huge hurdle, learn a new discipline, and then they look for an example that is not a right fit and try to jam it into what they're doing. And they think that's awful and difficult because they're learning and they're growing and the organization is just flexing with this new thing. Not always the case. It could be natural and easy if we're following some kind of evolutionary plan. But more importantly, what we do is we start out at the beginning and say, these disciplines exist. You will have to learn it. It's okay if right now it's a matter of degree and not it's depth, not breadth. You do need the full spectrum of the 10 disciplines that run through every single business, whether you are a Fortune 50 company or you're two guys with a taco truck. Same disciplines are there. It's just a matter of degree and intensity that you need to apply them, the depth to which you need to go into those disciplines to make them work for you. As long as you're cognizant of the fact that all 10 exist, you're not getting away with it, right? You're doing your version of HR. Brandon and I can be much more nimble and flexible than a 100-person company. And so we don't have the need for such things, but we certainly have clear roles, responsibilities, titles, understanding of what our roles are. It just might not be to the degree that I would build it for a Nike or an Uber because it's overkill and unnecessary. But you don't throw the whole discipline out in your architecture because now you're not accounting for a natural thing that must happen. Change management must happen, even if it's one person changing. You don't like change. I don't like change. Nobody likes change. We need to manage that dynamic well and not sweep it under the rug. But the degree to which we have to do that is different depending on how many people, personalities, and dynamics are happening inside of our organization. So we try to take everybody where they are, knock them a little sideways in their thinking, be disruptive. We're nothing if not a business disruptor, and say, everything you thought was wrong, you are following, chasing a false narrative. So of course you feel frustrated and that business is hard and things aren't working and there's always another problem cropping up. We don't have that architecture there. So we're going to disrupt your thinking to say, stop looking over there. It's right in front of your face. There's a lot of stuff out there that you could be doing. We're going to pare it down to the 20% that's going to give you the 80% result you're looking for. So we're going to do less, but it's going to be the right stuff strategically laid out. So you're accounting for all the disciplines. And because we have a diagnostic that measures their capabilities and their execution in those 10 disciplines, we already know where they are and where the holes are and exactly what their business probably looks like. We can help them zero in on those first things that are going to give them the maximum leverage to quieting the chaos that is in their business.
You've mentioned this diagnostic tool. I'm really, really curious to hear a little bit more about that and what it actually covers and the 10 sort of disciplines that we can't get away from, however much we really, really want to sometimes.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? I'm super curious.
Yeah, so over the 25 years that I've been working with some of the biggest brands in the world, Nike, Uber, J&J, MetLife, list goes on, and now with entrepreneurs, is I found out that we've been told a lot of things that aren't true about business. We've been following a false promise by looking at how big some companies are. And we think, well, if they're that big, it must be because they're doing a lot of correct things. And we're near it, but not on it. Things got wonky around the Industrial Revolution time when businesses expanded beyond our ability to see them clearly. And we had to start trusting in others in remote places. Communication wasn't as great as it is now. And so things would get lost. Fiefdoms would evolve, power, silos of power, and then disciplines formed around these natural things that were out there. Things like what traditionally is known as strategic planning, project management, change management, people management, leadership, two different things, not the same. Marketing and sales, finance, these are all the traditional kinds of things you would think about in a business. And some of them are right over the target, some of them are a mix and match of things, how those silos. But so what I realized is that all businesses have the same dynamics and disciplines running throughout them. They're all a little bit off from where they are because they're overcomplicated in some places, and especially and under leveraged because they are not connected in the right ways in a business. Right. Okay. And so because this is how you have companies where sales and marketing are two totally different organizations with different drivers. They're incented in different ways. And then we can't understand why these two departments can't, oh, shucks, guys, can't we all rally under the big brand name that's on the front of the building? No, that doesn't feed my kids. I get a bonus at the end of the year. This is what I'm incented on. And these people hate these people, and we set them against each other, and then can't figure out why they can't play right
Us
in the
against
sandbox.
them, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Which, why would you have one without the other? How could you have either? They are the same thing. Marketing and sales has to be in bed together. Okay. But that's just one of the kinds of things that you'd see. Go, what is this? What are we doing here? So we've distilled things down to the essence. These are the kinds of disciplines that you need, and this is how they all tie together. And so I realized that everybody is running these same 10 disciplines. They all link in the same way, despite the size of your organization, and that people are flooded with content without context. As you said, business leaders, especially entrepreneurs, will fall ass backwards into a business because it was a hobby, a passion, a dream they had. They have this business. They don't know all of the disciplines, but they start running with what they know. Things start to improve. They hire their cousin or to help out with things. They're finding ways to get things done. They're working really, really hard to save what little money they have instead of spending money to save time, which is the opposite of what you should be doing, since money is infinite and flows and time is limited. And so time is your greatest resource. So you should be spending money to save time, not spending time to save money. I digress. And they're working, and then they start to, they realize I need to learn some of these disciplines, and then they go out, they follow a guru, and they try to shove that new thing into their business, and it either takes or it doesn't because of all the dynamics that are there, and then they feel like even more of a failure. They get frustrated, and they throw the whole discipline out, or they just take a few pieces that are easy for them, and they stumble along, and they're making money, and they're like, look at me, I made $1 million last year. And I shake my head and weep for them in silence because they could have made 10 million, but they didn't even know they had all the gaps and the holes and the drains on their resources that they do because it's unknown to them. And so I realized that if I just asked a couple of questions in these across these 10 disciplines, and when I say a couple of questions, I mean this diagnostic usually takes now 8 minutes for somebody to take.
Oh, wow.
But if
That's
I
impressive.
ask just the right 5 questions across these disciplines and read this score, that we have an incredibly accurate picture of what's going on in the business. Now, we might have to talk to the business leader to dial it up or down a little bit to say, no, you say you're perfect in this discipline. You gave yourself all 10s. Let's talk about, I don't know that we mean the same thing. Well, maybe it is. And then you talk to them and they say, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they're not 10s. I guess they're 5s. Yeah, they're really 5s. Okay, good. Or I will have the inverse too. You can't be all 2s in this discipline and still be on the planet. You're not 2s. Well, I'm just a hard grader. Yes, you are. You should. Yes, there's improvement, but so we have to dial it in though on some of the. But once we do that, people will say, "Yeah, you just absolutely described what my business is," and now we can tell them it is in these disciplines then that you need to ramp things up. And we can tell you from where you are in that spectrum to where you want to go. These are the steps you should take. And that's how we combat the silos and I'm afraid to take that next step as an entrepreneur when I need to level up, because we have already accurately described what the picture is. And sometimes the problem isn't where they think it is. Sometimes there's problems that are completely hidden. Many times there's problems that are completely hidden from them. Now they can see it, and now it's not so scary. And now when we say, and now when you go and look for a guru or a discipline that's going to help you with this one aspect of your business that we know you are lacking in, we will tell you how to take what's valuable for you, leave what isn't, and integrate it into your architecture so that you have more harmony in your business, which is why our business architecture is called Harmonious. And the letters in Harmonious is an acronym for the 10 newly named disciplines, because I renamed them because I didn't want people to think of it as strategic planning. Eye roll, blah, who cares? Words on a wall that nobody looks at again, and somebody from another, a consultant came in and wrote them for us, and we don't care, and it doesn't change anything. And there's a disconnect between how leadership shows up and what they're putting on the wall, and it's more disincentivizing than harmony creating. I understand. That's how you see strategic planning. That's not what we mean by it. So we don't even call it that thing, because I don't want to put. So I say the discipline is navigation. When you get to the essence of what it is, it's who am I in the world? What is my mission with this particular vehicle of capitalism that I've created, right? This particular, what is the mission? And then where is it going to go in 10 years, in 5 years, 1 year, 1 quarter, this month? And now I know what to put on my calendar. Those are my projects. And we have a quarterly sprint. This is the kind of rhythm and cadence that's what we're talking about in navigation into operation. How do we operate? How do we operationalize the plan that we just had? Those are the first 2 disciplines we're talking about. And there is a natural flow through all 10. And that's where we start with people, and that's why we call it. And so Harmonious, it's not in the order that it's in. We start with navigation. That would be harmonious, and nobody cares about that. It doesn't mean anything. Harmonious, so home would be the H, and home, you would like this one, which is why I'm bringing it up. That's the discipline that's typically known as human resource management, like they're cattle. So in home, we say this is humans optimized in a meaningful environment, because I want to have leaders thinking not only about how do we optimize the humans we have, but the environment they're in also means something, and should be a meaningful environment, meaning also connect their job, connect what they're doing. I just have to sit here and pull a lever all day? No. That lever, the levers you're pulling, you have to be able to draw a direct line, a chain, a value chain from the activities they're doing all the way to the avatars that they're serving and up to the vision. So they know this is how I serve the people on the other end of whatever I'm doing, even if it's one piece of an assembly line process. I know how I am honoring our mission, supporting our customers, and moving us towards the vision. That is a meaningful job. That is a meaningful part of a team. That is a meaningful environment.
That is amazing. I love that. And I love renaming them, because you're right. I think some of these titles and role names, I suppose, have been so antiquated at this point that they don't really apply to the 21st century anymore. I mean, we've got so much help with AI and consultants, and the landscape of the business itself has changed, right? We know that. So just the way we communicate and the global economy and things like that. So lots of things have changed, but we're still using titles from 1965, and I don't know why. But it's hard to sort of turn that ship around and turn people's mentality around that. It sometimes feels like turning around the Titanic when it's already halfway in the ocean, right? So you've talked a little bit about sort of the personality, the environment. And so, I'm a big believer in, we cater to different personalities, but we don't want to manage our business by exceptions all the time, right? We want to have structure, and then there is the what ifs in a bad way, right? Yeah. And then the other, so, if we want to talk, can we talk about that, and maybe some of the assessments or testing, or maybe it's not, maybe they're just conversations that you have with business owners around some of the personalities maybe not being aligned with the roles that they're currently in, and how do we manage that relationship? And then I have a question for you, Brandon, as well, regarding, I know you're a fractional CEO, and I know that you've done that for other companies as well, and so I'm really curious to hear about the experience of being, you know, a fractional leader to a company, and of course how that benefits the company itself, having somebody in a, you know, maybe a temporary role, or maybe again maybe more of a part-time sort of a role. And I'm a big proponent of outsourcing things, so I know that I will never be the master of everything in my business, and I don't want to be, quite frankly. It's not a best use of my time, and so I love having other individuals that I trust to help me run my business alongside. So let's start with the personality question. Do you, Sean, encounter this a lot, where sometimes, especially in small businesses or in family-owned businesses, you have individuals who are maybe not quite in the right role, and maybe there are better individuals suited for that title, but because there is a familial relationship, or, you know, a lot of sort of loyalty and things like that, the owner of the business might not necessarily feel comfortable putting them into a different role, or it feels like a demotion and they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Like I guess the question really is the how much do we account for all of these, the relationship piece of the business, and how do we make sure that the business itself is still on track without ruffling any feathers?
Ooh, I love this question. First, well, the ruffling of feathers may have to happen. It might be part of the disruption. I'll say that first. So for small businesses, this shows up a lot because of that whole family dynamic, and just because of the way things evolve. You would assume that with most of the big companies, they've got it all sorted out somehow. Yes, personalities and dynamics and all that stuff and politics happens, but you're talking specifically about the small businesses. So one is I have to make sure that the business owner is ready to listen. I get a lot of business leaders that will come to me, and the first thing they'll say is, well, you've got to fix all my people. Because
I agree. I have the same problem. How do you do it?
These people, oh my God. I'm like,
right.
oh, I'm sure. Oh yeah, they're the worst. So it does start with that diagnostic, because I need to see how they react when they get the numbers. And I need to test just how full of it they are. Because if they're coming to me with the problems that they're coming to me with, and they're giving themselves 10s across the board, then they are not living in reality. There is just no way. That would be like them saying, no, I swear I'm massively out of shape, but trust me, I go to the gym and I eat clean 100%. And I don't even know what
and
a
my doctor
Malamar is.
says I have the metabolism of a 20-year-old.
Yeah, it's not true. It is just not true. That you're telling me one thing and you're coming to me with all these problems. So there's that. And then the second part is when going over the scores, let's say they haven't given themselves 10s everywhere, but they say, well, your diagnostic is wrong. I answered these things and it's saying now that my business isn't as great as it is, and trust me, it's great. So then we walk through it. If they're constantly, well, it's everybody else's problem, then they're probably not even a good fit, and I'm probably not in there anymore, because traditional consulting, you take the project, you go in, you do the stuff that they're asking, you take all this money, and maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't, but they'll call you back if you were nice enough to the people who had the money. And you can make a great living just implementing things that aren't going to stick for business leaders who want to pay and say they have a consultant working on stuff and put out the fires that they themselves are creating. But if they take it and they're relatively honest about where they are, and they have any moment in any of my interactions with her or Brandon's, right? When we're and a light bulb goes off, they go, "Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe this is true." I say, I can work with this person now. Now we're in, at least. I know that if I say to them, this one's kind of you, they're going to say, is it? And we can work somewhere. If there's total resistance, then I'm not even gonna try because it just won't get anywhere. Try, and that's after years of going, oh, I really want to help this person. I'll try, maybe they'll learn, No. And then the next step is to then get in there, and then now you have to start talking to the people. You will know this if their scores are terrible in some parts of the diagnostic. And so you will know it just by seeing it, because this is what you do for a living. And you'll get in there and you start talking to people, and you understand, yeah, there are other relationship dynamics here, but you have to be able to see, because it naturally evolved there with all the dynamics and all the things that they didn't say. And gosh, dad never trusted me with anything, and he's not going to give me the job. And well, my son, you should see him. I mean, he's a mess, and he never listened to me. Or I'm being hard on him because he's the eldest. And have you ever told him you loved him? But we don't use that word around. He knows he wouldn't be in the office if I wasn't, okay. We know all the horrible things that can go on there. You have to try to get them to a place where we have come to a place where it is as neutral as possible. Even if you have to, in the uncovering of things, move them back to that initial divergence of, oh, you were doing it because you thought I could achieve more. I thought you were doing that to put me down. No, that was the initial point. Now we see every move that's happened since then. Well, what do you really want? Dad, I don't even want to actually be here. I thought I had to join the family business.
Or I'm doing you a favor, Dad, because
right.
Because you're so overworked, right?
And I didn't know that. I didn't even, I mean, the things that you can uncover. Okay, so now we get there. But when you're doing this on a 2-track thing, right? Because what I like to do is say to them, your business got here. I'm going to take you right back to the moment you thought of it. Why did you do it? Oh, I did it for this, did it for that. Well, let's talk about your core values, because you say it's these, but I don't see that showing up. Who are you really? Well, somebody wrote them for me. Okay. So what were they before they got here? They were this. I worked with a trucking company where I mean, they had a rough place, and I'm not going to use the name. I don't have an ND. I'm not going to say the name, but it's kind of a rough environment, which was fine for what it was, but their core values were these wishy-washy, flowery things. And I said to him, we'll say Travis, who wrote these? And he's like, oh yeah, well, consultants, obviously.
Consultant, right?
What were they before they wrote? And he was like, yeah, well, one of them was, I'll change the language. It was even worse than this. Screw up, own up. Tell me more. And he goes, yeah, if you mess up, you better find the mistake and fix it before I find it. Like, just own it and fix it. Don't try to hide stuff and cover it up and make it worse. Screw up. Oh, I go, why'd you get rid of that one? Isn't that because I see you operating that way?
Right.
So why'd you get rid of it? Well, it wouldn't look good on the wall. I said, no, put it on the wall. Because one of the things was, they had a rough environment. Their job description, the way they described the company wasn't really what it was like. And
was it rainbows and unicorns? And then it really wasn't on the inside.
And they couldn't figure out why they had so many unhappy office workers there. So then they changed it. And then they got this woman in there who was like, I don't take crap from anybody. I'll whip these boys into shape. And they were like, oh, thank God she's here. She's like, she's got these guys running and loading the trucks, and she's out there with the bullhorn yelling at them. I go, yeah, because that's the environment you have. And so that was the way you needed to write your core values and write your job descriptions. And now you have a person in there. She's kicking ass in all the ways you wanted her to. And there's no ruffled feathers or anything, because you were showing up in 2 different ways. You weren't honoring who you are. So we start with, who are you? What was that mission when you first really thought about it? Who are you trying to serve? Why? What problem is it that you're removing them? Why is it important for you to do that? And then, where did you see it going? Where do you see it going from now to here to there? Don't worry about the problems with your son and this one and that one, all the problems. Where would you like this to go? With that original idea and all the knowledge we have now, where do you think I see us going here? And we push it to a place where they get scared of it. Because if they can see the path now from here to there, it's not a stretch goal. They're going to have to grow. And if it's 5 years out, plenty of time to grow into that person. But you better be a different person 5 years from now, because you're not leading a company that's had, 100%, like 10x growth rate.
Right.
You're not going to be this person today with these skills and these resources. So we do that. And then we say, now, how will we get from here to there? What is that value chain from taking whatever resources you have to providing whatever value your avatar is? What is that chain? What roles and responsibilities naturally need to be there? What kinds of things have to be handled? What's all the stuff? Okay, now what's the supporting stuff? That's your value chain, and what supports that? What's the supportive ancillary stuff? Well, we need somebody working on the books, and we need somebody doing this and doing that. And who's good at those things? Well, these are the people. And who would naturally gravitate towards those? Yeah. And what functions naturally fit together into a role that kind of makes sense for a person? Now we're getting there. Now suddenly young Gary doesn't look like such a terrible choice to dad, because he's raising his hand and going, and dad, you know what? And that's the thing that I thought I could do. Okay. Or none of us had these skills. We need to outsource it.
Right.
Let's level up fast and outsource this particular skill, or whatever the issues are. But they naturally get there then in a way that's not so emotionally charged as just saying, well, who should be doing what? And how did we get here? And well, what did you say in that time at Thanksgiving? Oh my God, we're not doing any of that. We're distilling it down to that blank slate, that hopeful place, and charting a new course. Because where it is now, if it's that kind of dysfunctional, you can't get there from here, right? That old saying.
No, I think you're right. I think transparency with yourself as a business owner is the most important part, because as much as I want to describe my company in a certain way, I have to be realistic and say I might be able to describe it that way in 3 years from now or 5 years from now, but we are not there. So as I'm bringing in people to support me in my business in whatever role I need support with, I have to be very honest in terms of where we are today, not where Kate's mind is 5 years from now, in order for them to have a realistic idea of what their role is, what their environment is going to be like. And then we can work on that. That's always going to be a work in progress. But I do see that a lot, very similar to you guys, is that I come into a business and they say, hey, I just need you to come in and clean this up. And I say, well, I can't clean this up because I don't know your end goal, right? I don't know what I'm aligning this to.
Right.
I can look over your contracts, make sure that they're legally compliant. No problem. That's standard across the board. I can write your employee handbook, make sure that I'm covering all of the necessary policies as well as anything that's relevant to your industry. Absolutely no problem. I can write all of your job descriptions and your KPIs, but I can't write your KPIs if I don't know what your strategic plan looks like. I have no idea what your business plan looks like. I don't know what your goals are financially. And I can't break down sales people's KPIs if I don't know what they're supposed to be accomplishing. Do you know what they're supposed to be accomplishing? If the answer is no, then I can't really help you. Right. So we need to have that very honest conversation and say, okay, let's do this together. Let's hold hands through this. Let's break it down and let's write this out so that you and I can both commit to what we're doing here. Right. I'm going to hold you accountable and you can hold me accountable, and we're going to do this together. Right. So a lot of validity, but I think all of it starts with personal accountability and personal transparency. And that's probably the hardest thing to do, right? To know what you yourself are currently lacking and maybe where you might need some work. Areas of opportunity is what I call them, not weaknesses, but areas of opportunity.
I'm sorry. And I think leaders also, I think it serves them to keep in mind that all human interactions is a value exchange. I say that to business leaders about their businesses themselves, but also in employing people. And it's not just the paycheck. No. Yes, they're getting a paycheck, but you can get a paycheck everywhere. Right. There's no job out there without a paycheck. They're the same thing. You can get a paycheck anywhere, but what else are they trying to get? And that business owner who's employing his son, and there's tension there and there's a dynamic there, he's looking for something else from you other than just, well, what do you want from me? You're working here for the company. You'll own it someday. What else could you want? That you should ask that question first. what will you like out of this? What are you getting at? And what am I getting out of it? Because you as a business leader, the people that you want there, it's not just do this job. Back to that point that we're in this together for 5 years from now. That 5-year vision, we're building that together. So you, person, are not just here to pull the lever so that I pay you. You're also to get here you're here for many hours of the day. You're here for some other kind of fulfillment, socialization, some kind of other gratification, plus a paycheck, plus other things. And we're here for you to also help us build towards that vision. Don't just do the job, contribute to the ecosystem, contribute to us on that journey.
Yeah, I love that. That's very, very true. That we call that the employee value proposition.
Yeah.
If it's all of the other stuff aside from a paycheck, it's the mentorship opportunities, the growth opportunities, if they want them. That's the other thing too. I have a lot of people coming to me saying, I want opportunities to further my knowledge. And you can even have that in a very flat organization. You might not get the title, or maybe there aren't very many titles within the company, but you're going to get the learning opportunities, and you're going to get that personal growth. There is that. I have other people that say, you know what, Kate, I don't want any more growth opportunities. I'm in the last, third of my career. I just want something that's stable, something that's nice, something that's comfortable. I don't want to dread coming into work. I want a lovely environment where I can actually take a break and have lunch, and then I can leave at 5 o'clock, right? I'm here, I'm committed 100%. I don't care for the growth side of it. I just want a place where I'm valued and I'm comfortable and I know that I have a job.
Yeah.
Right. So Brandon, over to you. I am super curious about the fractional COO. We've been hearing this a lot now. I hired some fractional chiefs of marketing and things like that in the past, and this role is still sort of kind of new to me because the fractionality of it varies between companies. Sometimes that means that somebody's coming in for a year, for example, and just kind of cleaning things up, building new structures. With other companies, they're working for a variety of different companies, and it's sort of 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week or whatever the agreement is. Can you tell me a little bit about your role and the roles that you've done in the past that are also in a fractional capacity?
Yeah.
And
So
what the value of that is to a business too. Sorry, part 2 of my question.
you can't value it. You should just pay us as much as humanly possible. I'm kidding, but no. So let's start from the beginning. So Sean has a much wider depth of experience in this, and I basically, when we came together to recreate Whadif, if you will, he's been the fractional COO at the Fortune 50, the Fortune 100 for 2.5 decades. I've been small business owner that focused on optimizing operations and stumbling into, not my words, his words, the harmonious architecture. And then when I met him, implementing it and seeing the very, very quick, immediate results. And that's when we joined forces and said, let's bring this to the rest of the world, the rest of the small businesses. So for me, as far as what does it look like to be a fractional COO, we kind of stepped back from purely fractional services and said, let's build a business accelerator mastermind where we can have a bunch of small businesses and entrepreneurs in this group where we can teach, we can instruct, and we can show them how to implement this in their business. If you want to take the next step and you want to have support, one-on-one support, coaching, consulting, up to fractional, we do offer those services. So I work with a number of our clients on a one-on-one basis. I wouldn't necessarily call that fractional support because it's so few hours per month. Sean, I'm not sure if you have a definition around this. I don't know what a fractional would be considered, whether it's 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. I mean, you could really say it's anything.
Well, here's how I think about it. I mean, it's funny if you're there and you're the only head of operations and you're there all of your time. That's not fractional anything. I mean, you've contracted out the whole thing. You're just masking the fact that you're an employee, right? So fractional for me, the definition really doesn't go beyond more than it's not full time. And then I've seen situations where there isn't anybody there and it's just me, or there's a whole department and they've got a newly minted COO and they just said, we just need you as backup. And I'm there so that when they say, have you ever seen this? I can say, yes, yes. And here's how we should handle it. But the way that we make it easier for us to do that is always by starting with the harmonious architecture, because when I would try to, back in the day, try to plug myself into multiple different systems and places and levels of expertise and things, it's too much to keep your head
It
around
is.
and to
It's a
always stay
lot.
on top of. So from this, it's like we're all singing from the same hymn book. We're all talking harmonious. So when I talk about this stuff, they know how it should look in an architecture, and that we're all talking about the same disciplines, maybe to different degrees, but it's easier for me to say, this is the rhythm and cadence we're all following now. And this particular company is here with it. These are their current issues. And if I can then have a shorthand to get to issues as they're arising and give quick answers to the people in their operations full time, then that makes it much easier for me to in 1 hour do what might have taken me 5 hours. Right. Because we have a reporting capability and we have a lexicon and a jargon for this stuff. So that's my only quick piece there, Brandon. But and the value for that, I guess, is insane, because you can have somebody with 25 years of experience at the Fortune 50 level, but for 2 hours a week or a month or whatever your company needs, that's huge, because you couldn't normally hire that kind of advice and guidance and counsel. And you're not going to just do it hourly where somebody plugs in, doesn't really know your business, and then gives you some kind of pat answer. We're constantly checking in on where we are with moving this harmonious architecture forward, so we know exactly where you are. And so that made our mastermind become kind of like fractional COOs to the degree that you need us, whether it's you're just coming on a Wednesday to hear us lay down some of this, the terms and next steps, and then you take it away on our platform and work through it, or we're there and you're meeting with us 5 hours a month, and we're working through stuff, and we're working with your team, and you're seeing us. But we can ratchet it up or dial it back to meet you exactly where you are in that model. And I think all of that counts as fractional chief operation type of service. How's that for me? Like just pulling words out. I mean, to answer the question, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. Brandon, when you and I chatted earlier about this, you mentioned something that was so refreshing to hear, and that is that you don't have a subscription model. It's very much of a take what you need, and we are not, tying you to a commitment here, to a contract or anything of that nature. Can you tell me, both of you, can you talk a little bit more about what made you structure the business that way? I mean, personally, I absolutely love it. I think a lot of people, especially in this economy, are hesitant to commit to, a 2-year contract or a certain amount of hours or whatever the case may be, just because we don't know. Our businesses are fluctuating so much, especially in the first couple of years. You don't know what the cash flow is going to look like. And so I love this idea of sort of having an open business model. And so let's talk a little bit about that. What made you want to do that? And I'm assuming that you're finding it quite effective for your clients and as well as for yourselves as well. But just to talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it was all founded on being a disruptor, and that everything we do, we try to focus on, what is in the marketplace, how can we be more effective and also different at the same time. So as far as the pricing model, it is not, no, there's no signed contracts as far as you have to stay with us for 6, 12, 18 months, anything like that, with the exception of fractional contracts. That would be a project based, we would have contracts in place. But as far as joining our mastermind, the accelerator, it's month to month. We have 3 different tiers. Wherever you see yourself fitting and getting the most benefit of, you can go up or down at any time. Me and Sean both met in a mastermind, and it was relatively similar model, but we just didn't like how, and we've both been in other ones, we didn't like how it was structured. There was no real growth and acceleration. It was just, we're being told that we were growing and accelerating. So our foundational principle was really if you're not seeing results, you shouldn't be with us. Like we want to grow and accelerate your business, hence the name. So if you're
Mhm.
not getting those results, you should not be tied to us. As far as you know, how effective it is for our clients, I'll give you a story which kind of ties back to the last point we were talking about. Um, one of our earlier clients who we love, I won't say her name here, but um, she was so nervous to sign on with us. She was the quintessential small business owner, you know, overwhelmed, overworked. Her day was just chaos everywhere. She's going from one thing to the next, and she had a good business. I mean, she had over 40 employees. She's doing many millions of dollars in revenue. She's making
Nice.
money. She's growing, but it was unorganized. And I laid out the framework, basically how we would approach tackling her issues, which was running through the harmonious architecture, or as Sean likes to call it, the Nimranerus, when you do it the right way,
Whatever,
whatever.
whatever the
In the
order
right
is,
order,
harmonious
Nimranerus.
is better.
Yeah, so it sounds much better. And she was terrified. She was like, oh, I mean, that the model that she signed up for, will just be transparent with pricing. It's $1,000 a month. She does get some fractional support. And she was like, oh, that's a lot of money. I don't know. Like, is it going to work? Is all these other things? And I said, just try it. If it doesn't work after 1 month, you stop. You've invested $1,000. It is what it is. The amount of acceleration and growth that her company has achieved in just a short period of time. I mean, we have taken her from nervous and apprehensive to raving fan in just a few months. And her company now is set up to more than double next year. So it's not a matter of, locking people into contracts and convincing them that it's working. We're going to get you the results, and you're going to, as long as you put in the effort. I mean, it's not, there's no
Of
silver
course.
bullets, but we're going to get you the results and make sure you get the results. And then as you're ready, you can scale up. If you just want weekly calls, fantastic. We're going to get you results. And then when you're ready, we're there for you, and we're there for you, and we're there for you. And that's the whole point behind the pricing model. I just, both of us agree that the sleazy backhanded sales tactics are from 1965, just like the discipline names, right? And there's a new way to do business that's more effective for all parties.
The first thing we wanted to sell people is, could I have enough of your time to just consider, maybe I don't know everything. That's the only thing I'm getting. Any talks we do, anything that we do, is all we want to do is have you say, huh, maybe there's something here. That's it. Because that'll get you to check out the diagnostic. If you want to know all 10 of the disciplines and how we would see them applying in your business, all I'm asking is 8 minutes. It's free. 8 minutes. We used to charge 6 figures to Fortune 50 companies for me to do that diagnostic. Now it's automated. It takes 8 minutes. It'll tell you exactly where you are in your business. That's a huge value for all I'm asking you for 8 minutes. The next thing is, all I'm asking you for is, if you found it helpful, if you were like, whoa, this is amazing, get on a call with us so we can make sure that you now know what to do next. I'm still not selling you anything.
Right.
I'm still just giving you value. And then, or if you go, this was ridiculous, what a waste of my time, get on the phone with me and tell me why it's a waste of time. Chew me out. That hasn't happened once yet. But if you think it's a piece of garbage, please get on the phone and tell me why, how this has no application in your business. Please be the first one to break my model. I would love it. That so far, it's all just value out. And at each step, it's just a micro decision, right? And so by the time you're saying, I can see already massive lift, imagine if I was just in this once a week with you guys for an hour, unpacking more of this model you just gave me, this free roadmap you just gave me. If I could just get a little guidance with some other people and see for a minimal investment, great. And so each time it's a micro decision and you're never locked in for more than a month. Because if we're not killing it, I don't want you in here I got 2 more months left of this 3-month thing that I paid for. I guess I'll show up. Nobody wants that. Hold me accountable. If I'm not constantly delivering for you, then it's not right.
Fire me. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this was extremely informative. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to share that as well with the clients that I have and the future clients that we hopefully will have together. I would
Yes.
love to maybe do another one of these sessions and kind of dive a little bit deeper into maybe more specific things as well, if that's okay with you both, whenever you have time. But in the meantime, how do people find you? Where do they contact you? Where do they go if they want to do the 8-minute assessment tool?
So we just changed this up. You will get the 8-minute assessment tool, but we have more unpacking to do that will blow your mind in terms of the clarity you receive from it. So it's listen, you're listening to this podcast, right? It's a 3-part, easily digestible podcast series. It vanishes after 7 days. You got to jump on it and take action. We only want to work with the action takers. So if you go to whatif.com/clarity, it'll be Sean talking you through how to understand this module or the model and how to unpack your bad diagnostic results. That will be the first thing you do once you get there, but go there first, whatif.com/clarity, and you will have your mind blown.
Ooh, I'm going to do that myself, actually. And I want to be mind blown. So I'm really hopeful and really excited actually to do a little bit of diagnostics on my own business. So I know I'll be chatting with both of you again really soon. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciated both of your insights into the world of business and how we move forward together and help other businesses grow.
Kate, we loved it. This is fantastic. You got a heck of a show, Kate. I love it.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
having
much,
us.
guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you both very soon. Bye.